And welcome to week 5 as we cover chapter 5 in consumer behavior. We're going to look at motivation and effect this week. And so I have kind of revised the PowerPoint presentation here a little bit. Hopefully I'll get this done a lot quicker for you and it'll be a little more interesting for you to watch instead of what we've been using. So let's get started. All right, so chapter 5, we're going to look at 3 different primary topics. We're going to look at the motivation process, effect, and consumer involvement. So, motivational process. So, motivation refers to the processes that lead people to behave the way we do. It occurs when a need is aroused that the consumer wishes to satisfy. The need creates a state of tension that drives the consumer to attempt to reduce or eliminate it. And as we've learned in earlier chapters, this need may be utilitarian, such as a desire to achieve some functional or practical benefit, or it can be hedonics, like an experiential need, and this involves emotional responses or fantasies, like when a person feels righteous because they're eating kale. So the desired end state is ultimately the consumer's goal. Now, the motivational process also involves the strength of the motivation and the direction. The strength is the drive that we have, and it's typically some type of a physical type of a drive. The book talks about, when our tummy is grumbling in the middle of class, we have that drive to take care of the need of being hungry. Expectancy theory talks about how we as consumers set an expectation for a particular product or something that we will experience, get some kind of an experience out of using that product. The direction that we look at when it regards motivation is whether it is a need or want. And remember that there's 2 differences there, that the need is the basic thing that we require, but the want is beyond that. It's when we have that need, but we want more. And then we meet up sometimes with conflict, motivational conflicts, in which, of course, our goals have what we call balance, and it can be positive or negative. And the book goes in a lot of detail in all of these. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples here of how advertisers have used a motivation with a goal in mind, a consumer's goal in mind, for a couple of print advertisements. Both of these print advertisements are for automobiles. The first one has a utilitarian need focus, and it's in regard of for safety, and the Passat advertisement shows that the vehicle is equipped with sensors that will help prevent certain instances that could be devastating. And so it's meeting that utilitarian need, but a hedonic need is a little deeper and it's a little emotional. And with this Chevy Camaro ad, we see that the copy's telling us street art, really, really fast street art. So it is providing the motivation for someone who has that need for speed and style. You're also going to take a look at the categorizing of consumer needs, and I know you've seen Maslow's hierarchy of need probably many times, and the book covers it again, but it goes into a little deeper discussion with it. Of course, we start at this bottom level. Maslow's his model shows that this bottom level of physiological needs must be met before any other needs can be met, or at least this is his theory. So physiological needs in regards to products might be medication, staple items, and generics. And it also provides some really cool examples here, such as Quaker Oat brands. It's the right thing to do. So, and you move on up here, you go on into safety, where relevant products would include alarm systems, your retirement investments for the future financial security, insurance. And then you get on up in a little higher here where you're looking at belongingness, which is love, and friendship, and acceptance by others. And that's where we're looking at products such as clothing, grooming products such as shampoo and conditioner, and even maybe deodorant and cologne and those types of things, clubs, different types of drinks. Pepsi's example here was their motto is "You're in the Pepsi generation," giving you that sense of belonging, part of part of a group there. Your ego needs is something similar to that. The print ad for the Camaro might be prestige, status, or accomplishment. So cars kind of fit in there. Furniture, credit cards, stores, country clubs, different types of alcoholic beverages. And then finally, and this is the hardest one really for people to hit, and the hardest one for products to match up because it is kind of uncommon, but self-actualization is when we meet that self-fulfillment, that we're doing enriching experiences, and it's the very top, the height, the pinnacle of our lives. And some things that might be relevant products might include hobbies, travel, or your education. So effects. Um, Effective responses involve an emotional um, feeling in regards to products and different things like that. And we have different types of effect responses. Evaluations are one, and again, they're balanced, which are positive and negative. And these are reactions to events and objects that are not accompanied by this high level of psychological arousal. You know, it's okay. Um, Moods involve a temporary positive or negative affective states accompanied by moderate levels of arousal. So this is a little bit more than the evaluative. Moods tends to be diffuse and not necessarily linked to a particular event. So maybe if you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed that morning, it kind of might change your attitude towards your Starbucks coffee when you pick it up, or the service that you received from them. The top is emotions such as happiness, anger, fear, and these tend to be more intense and often relate to specific triggering events such as receiving an awesome gift. So let's look at this example. You've got this couple sitting in the movie theater and the guy's crying and crying. So let's see if we can identify the different effects from the simple question, how was the movie? So if it were an evaluation type of response, you might say, it was good. I'll give it 2 thumbs up. Not real emotionally deep, but positive or negative. If we hit on the mood, you might say, oh, it was a tearjerker. We even talked about the sad ending during dinner. So it lasted a little bit longer than what the movie did. Now, if it was real emotional reaction to this movie, you might be like, oh, it was amazing. It broke my heart when the main character died. I can't believe they took him out like that. And you can go on and see the rest of the conversation, the resulting um, effective response. And that's, you know, that is a deeper, much more emotional thing. And this individual might be waiting desperately for a sequel. They'll go out and buy memorabilia from the movie or things like that. And that's ultimately what we as marketers want to achieve, is that emotional effective response from our customers. So some of the positive and negative effects that we see in today, as you can see, the positive effects over here are things like love mark is when a customer just totally enthralled with a brand or a company or a business. Um, Another positive effect might be happiness or material accumulation. Some negative effects that can be used might be disgust or envy, guilt, and embarrassment. We're all familiar with each of those. So here is an example of which do you think this would be? Is this a positive or negative effect? Yeah, this is negative. I would probably put this in as feeling guilty. ASPCA is really good at using negative effects in their advertising, and I saw some that would bring a lot of disgust to you, but I chose not to use them in the PowerPoint and went with the one that would make you feel guilty looking in those sad puppy eyes. And what about this one? Yeah, that's a positive effect. That's a love mark for sure. And you can see if you Google this online, Google brand logo tattoos. You'll see people have brand logos for Nike and Apple and just all kinds of brand. But these are die-hard brands right there. All right, now the last section that we're going to look at is consumer involvement. The way we evaluate and choose a product depends on our degree of involvement with that product or the marketing message or the purchase situation. So involvement, the definition of it is a person's perceived relevance of the object based on their inherent needs, values, and interests. So what is the relevance of the particular product? Is it important or not so much important? To begin with, we'll look at the lower involvement category, or what we call inertia, which describes consumption at the low end of involvement, where we make decisions out of habit because we lack the motivation to consider alternatives. So think of dish soap. When I buy dish soap, I grab Dawn dishwashing liquid right off the bat. I purchase Crest toothpaste. I might take all of 30 seconds to a minute to actually decide on which particular type of Crest I might get. I pretty much go to the same gas station all the time to fill up with gas. I try not to eat candy bars, but I added that one there for your benefit. Do you have a particular candy bar that when you're hungry, or you like the Snickers bar, or you just go in and grab you a Snickers, or do you whatever? Soup. Just random product that I added there. But then we have what we call the cult products, which are high involvement products. And these can include Apple, Harley Davidson, Jones Soda, Chick-fil-A, and the Boston Red Sox. And these types of products right here command a fierce customer loyalty, devotion, and maybe even worship by customers. A large majority of customers agree that they are willing to pay more for a brand when they feel that personal connection to the company. So just think back to the tattoo with Harley Davidson. How many, with Apple's new products just being released, how many people are willing to, make that huge payment? I'm kind of intrigued with the new Apple Watch myself, and what other product do you consider to be a cult product? This kind of changes in regards to generational cohorts. I'd be interested in hearing yours. And here's a little visual that helps you see. I kind of compare it to a mountaintop in that your high involvement are at the top of the mountain and your inertia is at the bottom. So types of involvement that you have three different types: product, message, and situational. So the product involvement is a customer's level of interest in a particular product. The more closely a marketer can tie a brand to the individual, the higher the involvement they will create. Um, Typically, the rule is that product decisions are likely to be highly involving if the consumer believes there is a lot of perceived risk. This means that the person believes that there's some negative consequence if he or she chooses the wrong option. Other things that encourage product involvement might be mass customization. As an example, that would be like Dell, who can mass produce a product yet customize it for individuals as well. Brand loyalty is a huge, huge, important thing in today's world. You know, if you remember McKinsey's um, purchase decision journey and that loyalty loop part of it, it's a big deal. And then, but you have variety seeking people that they may be brand loyal to Pepsi, but they're also willing to go out and check something Coca-Cola made new or something like that. And then we have message involvement, which refers to the influence media vehicles have on consumers. Price is a high involvement medium, while television tends to be considered a low involvement medium. And the reason for this is that it takes a while for you to read a print advertisement, you know, in a magazine or something. And you're pretty much an active participant in that advertisement, whereas TV commercial that's passive, you can easily be surfing the internet on your phone or checking your social media accounts or something like that, talking with someone when a ad on TV comes. The book also talks about alternative reality games and narrative transportation, which are really cool examples of high involvement in messages. And then finally, situational involvement takes place with a store, a website, or the actual consumption location. Where the customers consume the product or service. It might be in the restaurant, it might be at the salon, you know, it could be at the amusement park, it could be at the concert, whatever. That situational involvement is important. One way to increase this kind of involvement is to personalize the message shoppers receive at the time of purchase. So with situational involvement, those of you who are in event marketing, think about this as part of your event marketing plan. All right, so that is it for chapter 5. And so I hope this presentation is been a little better than all past ones. Let me know what you think. I appreciate it. And some important dates to remember. Of course, your discussion post for this week. Initial post by Thursday, 3 replies by Sunday. I think you'll find this one a little interesting. You're going to be doing a poll on social media. Chapter 5 test, I hope to have that up and available for you probably Tuesday, Wednesday morning at the absolute latest. Then we're going to be going into the written assignment number 2, which is going to be due in about 3 weeks, and it's going to incorporate chapters 3 through 7, and I hope to have that up by the end of this week as well. And your final project, check under the final project tab so you can get the full directions. All 4 parts are up there now, so you can see. If you don't have your book yet, you need to be getting it and be reading on it. Part 2 of this assignment is due. That's supposed to be a 10. This is a transposed number. So October 14th is when that one is due, all right? So have a great week. Enjoy yourself and dig deep into chapter 5. It really is interesting. See you later. Bye.